was going to ask, last year Cadillac took over and we saw this resurgence of energy, and everybody's kind of talked about how that exposure and everything's going to, even though he's been a terrific recruiter, maybe take him to that next, tier. And even though we have no running backs in this class so far, I feel like nobody's worried about getting running backs to Auburn. We're going to get that done. But have y'all seen anything to kind of, or talk to recruits, kind of validate that exposure and how much that meant to Cadillac being able to recruit this year?
A little bit. I've asked a few guys about that. Some didn't even know he took over as interim, and then some are like, that was and that Hugh Freeze kept him and made him the associate head coach. Wow, what a big deal! So it's kind of all over the map with that. As far as running backs go, they know Cadillac. They've known him for a while. If it's somebody important, if it's somebody he's had his eye on for a while, yes, that was a big deal to them, and that he got retained. Most of the guys I've talked to that are running backs have been those guys that said, yes, that's awesome.
From my perception of it, I think more than anything, where it helped Carnell was to be a more well-rounded recruiter. He's always been a good recruiter with running backs, but now as an area recruiter, he's more comfortable talking to other guys kind of outside of that bubble, being more approachable, being more of a guy that could be potentially a mainline recruiter in a way that you've seen maybe Dale McGee or Larry Porter or guys like that that are beyond just recruiting their position, that can help out in a multitude of ways. So I think it's helped him kind of get into his bag a little bit and be a more diverse recruiter. But I don't know that it's necessarily helped him from an exposure standpoint per se, as far as name recognition.
More regional, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Let me add this, and then we'll keep going. But, these kids, just to be brutally, completely honest, some of them don't know who he was. Yeah. Right. They don't remember him like we do. Okay. Cadillac, they don't know.
They weren't even born when he was in 2004.
Right. So you have that dynamic with some guys, but then it was such a big, statement when he was made the interim head coach, and then he won a game and did good things and sort of flipped the team around. He's back on the radar for a lot of these kids now. So more than anything, his presence, it helped his presence, and his presence with recruits. He may not have to be the guy that calls them 10 times a day to get their attention. Just who he is now getting their attention.
You know who knows him? People in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Down where I'm at, because he played for the Bucks, and their mommies and daddies remember. In Georgia, in Alabama, and Mississippi, it's mostly because their mommies and daddies remember him and worshiped him like a lot of people did, and also their high school coaches remember. Now, a lot of these high school coaches that are 50 now, think about how old they were when Cadillac Williams was tearing it up in the SEC. So they're then being able to tell kids. So it does mean something to kids, even though they never saw him play, weren't as lucky as we were. But yeah, I mean, nationally, I don't know. I think Jeffrey pointed out regionally, sure, but nationally, probably not as much. But that's okay. He's the running backs coach and the associate head coach at Auburn. And he's a successful young guy. He's still pretty young in coaching circles, and that's resonating with people. But it always did. Sure. You know why? Because he's such a likable, humble person with a great story to tell and a great product to sell himself. I mean, essentially, he's selling himself and Auburn about equally. And, those are two pretty good things to sell.